All right, guys. So let's review. We have a test. So let's take a look. The first part is find the value of each trigonometric ratio. The ratio is just for fraction, and I gave you guys that sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. So for question number 13, let me label all my sides. The biggest side from all, the one that is far away, the one that is opposite from the 90 degrees, it's always called hypotenuse. Now, because I'm asking you guys for tangent of x, so at x, I'm going to put my theta. So from that corner, the side that is far away from theta is what we call opposite. The side that is close to theta is what we call adjacent. I remember tangent is opposite over adjacent. So in this case, I'm just going to go 27 over 36. If you can simplify each fraction, do so. Now 27 and 36, I'm going to divide each by 9. So that's going to give me 3 over 4. That's my fact. You guys can type it in as 3 backslash 4. Now let's take a look at the question number 14. The biggest side, I'm going to label the hypotenuse. Now here I'm asking for cosine of z. So at z, I'm going to put a theta. From that corner, 9 is the one that's far away. So 9 is my opposite. 40 is my adjacent. I know cosine. I remember adjacent over hypotenuse. So I'm going to go 40 over 41. I cannot simplify anymore. That's as simple as I can go. So 40 over 41, you can type it as 40 backslash 41. Now, question number 15. Let me label all three sides. The biggest side is called the hypotenuse. Since I'm asking for tangent of A, at A, I'm gonna put my theta. From the corner, 24 is my opposite, 32 is my adjacent. Tangent I know is opposite over adjacent. So I'm just gonna go 24 over 32. Do simplify it if you can. What I'm going to do, I'm going to divide each my numbers by 8. I'm gonna simplify my fraction. That's going to give me 3 over 4. And I'll do that as 3 backslash 4. Lastly, let me take a look at number 16, at least for this section, for the ratio. Let me take a look at number 16. The biggest side I'm going to call the hypotenuse. Since I'm asking for sine of A, at A, I'm going to put a theta. So from that corner, 40 is my opposite, means far away. 9 is my adjacent. For sine, I know sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So I'm just going to go, in this case, 40 over 41. I cannot simplify the fraction anymore. You can type that as 40 backslash 41. So when I ask for a ratio, I'm asking for a fraction. Do simplify the fraction. Then let me move on. Let's take a look at question number 17. Find the missing side. I'm only giving you guys two sides. One of them is an x, one of them is a number, and I'm giving you guys an angle. So what I'm going to do, I see if I have the hypotenuse to begin with. In this case, I have the hypotenuse. And then from 43, that's where my theta used to go. From 43, I ask myself, is x the opposite or the adjacent? Opposite, it means far away. Adjacent means next to. In this case, this is the adjacent. And I remember that sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is opposite over adjacent. I see I have an A and an H, so that means I'm dealing with cosine. I'm going to write that cosine of 43 degrees is equal to, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so I'm going to go x over 12. Because the x is on top, I'm just going to multiply both sides by 12. That way the 12s cancel out. I have the x by 12. So I have that x is equal to 12 times cosine of 43. I'm just going to say x is equal to, let me get my calculator out. Have to go 12 times cosine of 43. Depending on your calculator, you might have to type in 43 first and then cosine, or you might have to type in cosine and then 43. In my case, I had to type in 43 first and then cosine. But I do see on the screen on the top, it says 12 times cosine of 43. Now, don't think that this number right here is my answer. That number right here is what cosine of 43 is. Let me make sure you press the equal sign. I'm going to press the equal sign this time. Press the equal sign, so I have 8.77. It says rounded to the nearest tenth, one decimal place. So I'm going to call this 8.8. So x is equal to 8.8. When you type in the answer, just type in the number, just 8.8. You don't have to type in x equals, just 8.8. All right, let's take a look at question number 18. First, I asked myself, do I have the hypotenuse? Yes, there's an x next to it. So, all right, so I see my 45 degrees. Now that 15, in this case, that's the adjacent. So I'm dealing with cosine. So I'm going to say that cosine of 45 degrees is equal to 15 over x, adjacent over hypotenuse. Let me multiply both sides by x to get rid of the fraction. So I have that x times cosine of 45 is equal to 15. I don't have x by itself at this moment. Let me divide by cosine of 45. That way they cancel out. And I get that x is equal to 15 divided by cosine of 45. Let's see what that is. I'm just going to go 15 divided by, I have to type in 45 and then cosine. Press equal. So I see that 15 divided by cosine of 45 is 21.2. I'm going to run it to one decimal place, so 21.2. Let's take a look at question number 19. Have the hypotenuse, and I have the adjacent. I'm dealing with cosine again. Now, just before I start, I'm expecting x because the hypotenuse is the biggest side. I'm expecting my answer to be less than 10. If I get something bigger than 10, it makes no sense. And just by looking at it, it looks like it's slightly less. So not a lot less. It's just a little bit less. All right, so I have that cosine of 20 is equal to x over 10. Let me multiply both sides by 10. So I have that x is equal to 10 times cosine of 20. So let me go. I'm going to go 10 times, press 20 first, and then cosine, then press equals. So this is 9.39. I'm going to run it to one decimal place. I'm going to call that 9.4. So x is equal to 9.4. When you type it in, you don't have to type in x equals, just the number, 9.4. All right, let's take a look at number 2. Have the hypotenuse and I have the opposite. So I know that I'm going to be dealing with sine. I have sine of 18 is equal to x over 18. Let me multiply both sides by 18. So I have that. I have to type in, let me get my calculator out. I have to go 18 times 18 first and then sine, press equal. So 18 times sine of 18 gives me 5.56. So I'm going to round it to 5.6. One decimal place. I'm going to round this to 5.6. All right, that's not that bad. Take a look at the last section. Find and measure the indicated angle to the nearest degree. I had to find the angle to the nearest whole number. All right, so let's see what parts do I have. I asked myself, first of all, do I have the hypotenuse? I do. Now, from the question mark, is 5 the opposite? That means it's far away, or is the adjacent? That means it's next to it. In this case, 5 is the opposite. So based on O and H, I'm going to be using sine. So I'm going to say the sine of, I don't know what the question mark is, so I'll call it x. Sine of x is equal to 5 over 7. Since sine is opposite over hypotenuse, I did 5 over 7. I do want to have my x and my fractions switch places. And I can do that as long as instead of sine, I call this sine inverse. Sine inverse of 5 over 7 equal to x. Remember, I called it to begin with sine of x. I didn't say sine times x. I said sine of x. So do not think you can divide by the letters sin. I always tell people it's a sin to call it sin. So you don't think you can just divide it by sine. It's sine of x. That way you can split it as by sine inverse. Some people even call it arc sine. So you can call it sine inverse or arc sine. It's up to you. Now let's see. I want to know what sine inverse of 5 over 7 is. So in my case, I had to find out what 5 over 7 is first. I have to go 5 divided by 7. Gives me a decimal. And then I have to go second. That way I see sine inverse. It tells me sine inverse is 45.5. I have to go to the nearest whole number. So I'm going to call this 46. X equals 46 degrees. All right, let's take a look. Number 22, I asked myself, so have the hypotenuse? Good, I have it. I have the adjacent as well. Therefore, I'm going to be dealing with cosine. I have that cosine of x is equal to 20 over 23. In that case, I'm going to say that cosine inverse of 20 over 23 equal to x. Let me find out what 20 over 23 is first. 20 over 23, I'm going to go my trig function. I'm going to press second cosine inverse. That gives me 29.5. Yeah, so that's going to round it out to 30 degrees. X equals 30 degrees. When you type in the answer, you only have to type in 30 on my case. 30 degrees. All right, let's take a look at question number 23. Let me label the sides that I have. I have the hypotenuse and I have the opposite. Therefore, I'm going to be dealing with sine. So I have that sine of x is equal to 42 over 51. So I have that sine inverse of 42 over 51 is equal to x. In my case, let me find out what the decimal is first. So 42 divided by 51, press enter, gives me a whole decimal. So I'm just going to go my trig function, press second, sine inverse, 55.4. I'm running it to nearest whole number. In this case, 55 degrees. So x is equal to 55 degrees. Looking at question number 24, I have the opposite and I have the hypotenuse. Therefore, I'm going to be dealing with sine of x is equal to 17 over 19. So I have that sine inverse of 17 over 19 equal to x. Let me type that in. I have 17 divided by 19. Give me a decimal. So I'm going to go my second sine inverse 3.3. Oh, yeah, this doesn't sound right. Let me do 17 divided by 19. Yeah, I know where divided by 19 came from. The sine inverse of 17 over 19, 63.4. 63.4, I'm going to run it to 63 degrees. So I'm going to the nearest whole number, 63.